morning, everyone. Welcome to A Moment of Hope with Upward Transitions. I am so grateful this morning to have my friend Jenny with Community Cares Partners. Is it partners or partnership?
Partners.
Partners with us this morning, and you have been on twice. You might be my second time guest.
I feel so honored and privileged.
There, yay! And we are just so glad that you are here because you and Community Cares are doing such important work with rent and utility support and relief. And so I just wanted to have you back in this new year to kind of tell everybody what's going on and what you guys are doing and with new funding and a new process. And so I'm just going to let you share what's going on over there.
Okay, a lot actually, and then jump in with questions anytime because there's
Absolutely.
still a lot of clarification that needs to occur. So, as many of y'all know, on December 28th, the former president signed into law the most recent CARES support, and there's a provision called the ERA, Emergency Relief Assistance. Emergency Rent Assistance, and that was a $25 billion piece of that whole bill. So, with that money, the state of Oklahoma received just under $264 million. And that was divided up among Tulsa County, Oklahoma City, Oklahoma County, and Cleveland County. So this time it was a $200,000 population for who might receive part of the total state fund. So for example, the city of Oklahoma City received 19 million of that. And the state will have about 210 or 12 million after you parcel out to those other jurisdictions. So this time the money is only available for rent and utilities. I think many of y'all will know last time we could help with mortgages, activity, transportation, all different kinds of things, and retraining even. But this time it's very defined. Last time it was a lot looser, so we got each of the jurisdictions got to put their own fingerprint and make their own rules. And this time the federal guidelines are really rigid. So, as one example, we can only help people with 80% or lower AMI.
For those that don't know, tell us what AMI is.
Sure, it's area median income. So
Okay.
it's what is, and it's done by household. So if a family of one has an AMI, it's in Oklahoma City, it's about 41,000. And then a family of four has an AMI. But so does a family of 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, I think they go up to eight or greater. But here's the thing. AMI in Oklahoma City is obviously greater than the state AMI because the state is an aggregate. So people, depending upon where they live, qualify for which fund they qualify for, it will be a different AMI. So we'll have those tables do it. Now, the biggest difference for us, and it's going to really help residents this time around, is we are going to have an actual real live software database system. I'm super excited. Some of y'all may be familiar with Founded. So Founded is used by a lot of granting organizations like Communities Foundation of Oklahoma, which we're a program of. McLaughlin uses it. Express uses it. So and they do a lot of scholarship work. And you think about it, similar to a scholarship, you have to apply, and you have to upload all these documents, and you have to answer all these questions. It's very, very similar. So we are really excited. We couldn't do it this volume without that. That automation, making it digital. So people will still be able to come to us through two avenues. They'll still apply online, or they'll go to the courthouse because they're actually on the admission docket. And there we'll have them print. We'll have iPads or surfaces or something. And they can apply online. They'll get in the system, and we can negotiate their rent. And then they will be in the system in case they need utility assistance. So some of the guidelines this time around we're limited to paying 12 months of assistance, up to 12 months. In some circumstances, up to 15 months. So that would date all the way back to March 13th of 2020 through December 31st of 2021. The other thing is, like I said, it only pays rent and utilities. It only pays for rent for tenants. So someone that owns their home and has a mortgage, if they're behind their utilities, we still can't help them. So only renters of residential
Got it.
housing. So that's one thing. If they're already homeless, we cannot help them with rehousing these funds are not for rehousing. I know. These funds are not for rehousing. We can pay arrears as well as with rent. We'll be able to pay 3 months at a time ahead. So if they come in February, we pay February rent plus March, April, May.
Okay.
They can come in June, and then we can pay June, and then the 3 months there. We can keep for utilities. Obviously, you can't pay ahead on utilities because no one knows how much that would be. So they'll have to come back every month, and we would pay that much utilities and just keep going forward up to so that the cap is how many months we can pay.
Got
That's
it.
where the cap comes in.
Okay.
And then as far as I know, this is going to be a question, so I'll go ahead and answer it. Is when is all this happening, right? You're seeing news sources that
Great.
say,
Mm-hmm.
hey, there's $25 billion out there. And so people are waiting to think, okay, now I should up my hands. I get it. And that's not how it works. So we have to set up the system. We don't have contracts with anybody yet. We've seen a draft of the city contract that should go before council on the 16th of this month. We're still working with the state, Cleveland County, and the Oklahoma County. So they'll have their processes they have to go through. So they had to apply by January 12th, and then they got their money last week, I think. So there's a lot of money and some very large, not just large amounts, but there's also large entities that are dealing with it. So they have to go through all their hoops. Then what we'll do is we will open up and we will notify y'all. We'll open up our portal. We're going to start updating our website with just information so people understand what's going on. And we know that for a lot of people, it's a really tough time because our other CARES money ended.
Yeah.
Yet we have, this is waiting in the wings. And rent still due, utilities are still due, people are still cutting things off. So I know that's really hard, but it's so essential that we start well and start right rather than just willy-nilly. Because like I said, the government guidelines is fine. They're a lot more stringent. We have to do reporting back to the government every 3 months. We have to track a lot more things than we had to track before. The way people can qualify, we talked earlier about AMI, is it can either be an annual thing, so like what's their 1040, and we can see if that amount meets the AMI requirement, or they can do a monthly one by supplying us documentation to show what they make monthly, then just multiply it by 12.
Yeah, because I know, you may have had a job last year and now that job is gone. And so that might not be the amount of income you have currently.
Exactly. I think they're just going to figure out what qualifies them the quickest and easiest. It's a good way to say it. And quite frankly, not everybody files income tax returns.
Sure.
Not everybody has bank accounts. So all those things make it more difficult to verify income. So the more people are ready, I know at Upper Transition, y'all have a really great system that leads people through and very detailed about what they need. So I know we'll be talking more about how you get that. And with Found that they'll be able to upload all their documents. But a lot of things that we learned from last time, and I certainly have done this, I have typed my email in incorrectly. So
Yeah.
we'll have an email verification. There will be so many more fields that are required and ways to verify that. So they're going to have the application side of things is going to be much more robust and meaty. So they'll have to do a lot more up front before they can get into the system and get the payments. We're going to, for example, at the courthouse, they have a docket. So we're going to be trying to reach out to the people who are on the docket ahead of time to get them to start doing the application process.
So
And
Jenny,
we'll also be working with landlords.
One of the things that we have experienced in this digital transformation of resources is the gap that creates for either seniors or those who have visual impairments or those kind of things. So tell me about accommodations that you might make for those people who may not be able to access those resources.
Right, and you're exactly right. We were just talking the other day about how to make it available for people with disabilities. What does that look like? In addition to having a bilingual option,
yeah,
is a biggie. We're going to be obviously reaching out to all of our community partners, and so you look at it. We have to reach out on the city level, the county level, and then the state level. of how that works. So I'll kind of start big and go down. If you look at state, we're already working hand in hand with legal aid.
Perfect. Yeah.
Yeah, and the legal aid, last note, they're statewide. They reach into every courthouse. So that's going to be particularly important for people who are on the eviction docket.
Mm-hmm.
And they'll be able to help people with entering the information, help them set up. The couple others ideas we haven't ferreted these out all the way, are things like the library would be a great tool and resource for people because there's libraries in most communities and most of them have computers and people there that can help them. We're also going to talk to different utilities. You think about all the utilities across the state. They all accept payment differently. They all work differently. So communicate, getting regular and coherent and just consistent messaging and with them is going to be super important. And then more locally, we'll be talking to like the upper transitions and things like that and how to help clients apply. So I think it's one of those things. It's just that with the amount of documentation that's required, you've got to get the documentation. It has to be digital ultimately. So how you get to that point. It may be that we are able to hold sessions that people can come for application only, not to get assistance, but to help with application, that we can help them do with that. So it's going to be, this is where the word partners is going to come into huge play because we're really going to have to rely on all the people in the communities to get the word out. Maybe it's on the radio, maybe some other. So there's two issues here, Mike. I think it's both getting the word out. It's also people put their information differently, and some more than others, and then helping them apply. So it's kind of, I see that as a two-step process, and one of those will be running concurrently the whole time. Make sure we do it. We have to spend 65% of the money by September 30th.
Okay. I was going to ask, how long do you see this lasting? And, last time, I mean, the need in our community is so great. And you and I were talking about that before we went on air, and that causes such stress and anxiety, not only in individual families, but in the community in general. And I think that just is felt not only in our partner agencies and the way that we work, but just we want to relieve that stress and we want to do it well. And so getting those resources to these families and relieving that stress will not only benefit the individual situation, but our community. And so how fast, once the system is up and going, how fast do you see these resources getting out to families?
A lot of that will depend on really two parties besides us, is how prepared the tenant is, how ready they are with all the documents and can answer all the questions. So coming with that information, having that ready. And then the other side is who is the person that we're paying. So we're either paying the landlord or the utility company. Now it's really easy if it's people that we've been working with before. That's because we have a system down. But once they apply, they take the rent. Now clearly at the court, it's quicker at the court just by the very nature of it. But if they apply online and need help with rent, so then they upload their lease. This sends a message. They have to have the landlord information. So we can't help them if they don't have the landlord contact. So to get that. So they have that, then we email the landlord and they upload the ledger. And then we put together a landlord tenant agreement and we probably use DocuSign or something similar in order to start it going down the trail of email to email to get approved and all that. So then we have the document for approval. And then we cut checks once a week. We're going to encourage people, if they will, to use ACH. And I'll give you another little stumbling block that it's just one of those things that people have to understand. It's not as simple as saying, I need money.
Yeah.
We cannot pay anybody until we have the W-9 on file.
Right. Yes. We the same thing happens at upward transitions all the time. You have to check all the boxes, dot all the I's, cross all the T's, and have the W-9.
Exactly. And if it's fine for these larger companies that have these big rental apartment complexes, but you start talking about the little one-offs, the older gentleman that has one, and you ask for a W-9, and we've gotten some. I'm sure you've seen. There are some doozy ways that things come back. And so by requiring it, we just get to be really clear with our expectations. And then the other thing that this round of funds requires is that we basically send a receipt so that when we know that the check is cleared, we let the tenant know. And we're already encouraging them to have, everyone will have a copy of the agreement and all that. Honestly, we've had, the only times we've really had a problem is if the check's lost in the mail or something. And for the most part, the longer we did it, and having the track record of having done it last year, more people trust.
Mm-hmm.
Because more people trust, it will definitely make everything work more quickly. So hopefully, we can get, if they'll have, ideally, so you have everything, you upload it all, and you're ready to go there, and the landlord's very cooperative and gets everything going. I mean, you could easily have it all finished in 3 or so weeks. By the time you do everything, they actually get the check. And that's, 2 to 3 weeks would be ideal, but you can't tell people that all the time because, they don't have a lease or the landlord doesn't return phone call, whatever the
Right.
But and
So
the other thing with Foundant, they'll be able to go into Foundant and see where they are.
Oh, wonderful. Yeah. Track their progress. That's beautiful. So you've been doing this for a while, and I know that when you started this adventure, you went into it with both feet, and you were excited. So I have 2 questions. Both, what is the biggest lesson you've learned from doing this huge project of community service and support? And where do you find and see the most hope in the things that you do in this project every day?
Good question. So the first question, lessons learned. I'm going to give you 2. I'm going to give you an objective and a subjective.
Okay.
Objectively, you have to have a good system, i.e. a database, to really do it well. I told Trista, I can't do this without that. And we were all in agreement on that. But subjectively, one of the things I've learned is that, and we all know this, but this was so put into action, that if you will trust people, people will do the right thing. And it will work. And sometimes we hamstring the ability to help way too much. And the less we can hamstring it, the more we can trust and accept the fact that it's not going to be perfect, the more people we can help and the further along we go.
Love that.
The last question, I'm so sorry about having done this for a while. Anyway.
Yeah. Where do you see the hope in it? Like, where's the hope? And yeah, I know, because, this COVID thing is heavy. So what keeps you going? Where's the hope in it?
I think the best hope is in small bites. Instead of wanting to, I always have the dream of changing the world. That's still there, but the best hope comes in those moments. And I look back on being a parent. You could have a terrible day with your kid, but you go in, you're sleeping, you look down, and they're just, it's like a little angel in that bed. And your heart just bursts open with love. You just that 1 second. And you get that in this. You get the people that we're not going to be able to set them up for life, and that's not the purpose or the goal. But when you can provide a little bit of relief, and you can actually watch the relief leave their tensed up body, the way they say thank you, we've got some marvelous comments from people and emails and cards. And so it's those moments of hope, it's the little moments of hope that when you string them together, the whole becomes greater than the sum of its parts.
Yeah.
Because I think we're all waiting for that. If we all think this journey has an end, we're going to be mildly disappointed. It's the journey. That's what it is. It's the journey, not the end. And so when you string all those moments of hope together and all those little stories, first of all, it helps ease the heartache that comes from the mistakes, the errors, the frustrations, the anger, the fear, the hate. So you just, that hope is just like this constant streaming trickle. That it is so powerful and life-giving.
I don't think I can have any better ending words than that, my friend. I'm so glad you spent some time with us, and I'm so glad that you're gearing up for another round of helping people in our community. Thank you so much for spending some time with us today, and everyone, go find a little hope in the small parts and the big. Have a great day, and we'll talk to you again soon.
Thank you.